I'm like, oh my God. So I was so swollen, and I had this like Frankenstein scar from here all the way up to my ear, like almost here.
If you get value out of this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let's get on to the video.
Surgery day, I got in my car. I drove myself to the hospital.
Because you couldn't have anybody drive you.
I couldn't. So I drove myself to the hospital. I parked my car. I sent a picture to my ex-husband because he was going to drive my daughter to pick up the car. And I went in for surgery. I prepped. And yeah, it was supposed to be like 5.5 hours. And it ended up being 7.5 hours. So I had no family at the hospital because it was COVID. You couldn't, right? There was nobody at the hospital.
So COVID really, I mean, many people have their own stories with COVID, but it really amplified the whole situation, really. Yes. I mean, you couldn't even have any moral support.
No. So I remember I went in, I gowned, I waited, and it's like you're just waiting for like, it's almost like a doom type feeling. Like you're just.
It's not like you're going in because you broke your leg.
Exactly. You're just waiting there. You're in your gown and your cap, whatever, and your little slippers there. And then you're walking to this table. And I mean, I don't remember ever seeing anything like that. And I went in, and then the doctor asked me if I was okay. And then he pointed up there. I don't know if you can see. So he pointed up to the top, and there were like students that were going to be watching the surgery, if I was okay with that. And I said, of course, no problem. And then the anesthesiologist, he goes, Jennifer, how old are your kids? So I started counting. He asked me to count them backwards. So I did from my oldest to the youngest. And I don't even remember getting to the youngest, and I was out like a light. And then I remember I woke up. I was in my room. And the nurse, she was trying to wake me up. She had my phone. It was important that my phone was near me. I remember that because I needed to call my kids to tell them I was going to be okay. I was going to text message them. Mm-hmm. So when I woke up, the nurse had said, your mother called a few times, right? And I said, oh, okay. I should also backtrack. I remember before the anesthesiologist prepped me, I had said to the doctor, you have to call my mother as soon as the surgery's done. Can you please call my mother? Because she's very, very worried. So anyways, because the surgery took an extra 2 hours, my mother was so nervous, she kept calling the hospital.
Right.
Because that had taken a toll on her.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then I also remember, so I'm on the bed. I hadn't seen myself at all. And I heard my daughter in the hallway, and she had brought flowers. So they let my kids come and my ex-husband come, my 2 older kids.
Oh, so they did let them in.
They let them in, yes. So my daughter, I heard her saying, well, why can't I bring them in? She had bought flowers. They wouldn't let the flowers in the room because of COVID and because it needed to be a sterile environment. And I remember her saying, well, can I just show her from the door? So they walked her to the door. They wouldn't even let the flowers in, and they let me see them. And that was that. So, which I found ironic because they let the kids in. Why wouldn't they just let the flowers in? But that's a whole other show. So
right,
anyway.
So they let the kids into the room with you.
Yep. They let the kids in, and they let my ex-husband in. And at this point, so I had heard her, and I'm coming out of being like heavily sedated, and I'm looking around, and my son had walked in, my oldest. So he walked in, and he's looking at me, and he's just staring at my neck. So remember, I haven't seen myself at this point, right? So I had wanted some water. So the nurse gave me some water, and he's talking to me, and he's like, you look good. But just the way he said it, he's like, you look good. I'm like, okay. And I'm still like very like drugged out at this point.
Something was odd about that you look good statement.
Yeah, absolutely. And he wasn't looking at my face. I could see his eyes. He was staring at my neck. He goes, right. Don't worry about that. We can get a plastic surgeon and they're going to fix that. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. So at this point, I'm like, I want a mirror.
Yeah. What is he talking about?
Yeah. There was no mirror anywhere. And I wanted my phone. So I'm like, can you give me my phone? And they wouldn't give me my phone. I'm like, please give me my phone. And all I saw was my ex-husband and my 2 older kids and my son's girlfriend at the time. And everybody's just staring at my neck. So I'm starting to get a little bit of a complex here. So I picked up my phone and I'm looking at it. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God. So I was so swollen. And I had this like Frankenstein scar from here all the way up to my ear, like almost here. And I'm looking and it was very, very thick and just very, very hideous and very gross. And then that's when the tear came. So I finally cried.
So you did shed a tear.
I did finally shed a tear. Yes, there it was.
If that video touched your heart and you got value out of it and you want to hear another piece, click here. If you want to watch the full episode and hear the whole story, click here.